The dialogue between Hermes and Asclepius. All that is moved, Asclepius, is it not moved in something and by something? Assuredly. And must not that in which it's moved be greater than the moved? It must. Mover, again, has greater power than moved. It has, of course. The nature, furthermore, of that in which it's moved must be quite other from the nature of the moved. It must completely. Is not, again, this cosmos vast, so vast, that than it there exists no body greater? Assuredly. And massive, too, for it is crammed with multitude of other mighty frames, nay, rather all the other bodies that there are. It is. And yet the cosmos is a body. It is a body. And one that's moved. Assuredly. Of what size, then, must be the space in which it's moved, and of what kind must be the nature of that space? Must it not be far vaster than the cosmos, in order that it may be able to find room for its continued course, so that the moved may not be cramped for want of room and lose its motion? Something, thrice great one, it needs must be, immensely vast. And of what nature? Must it not be, Asclepius, of just the contrary? And is not contrary to body, bodiless? Agreed. Space, then, is bodiless, but bodiless must either be some godlike thing or God himself, and by some godlike thing I mean no more the generable but the ingenerable. If then space by some godlike thing, it is substantial, but if it is God himself, it transcends substance. But it is to be thought of otherwise than God, and in this way. God is first thinkable for us, not for himself, for that the thing that's thought doth fall beneath the thinker's sense. God then cannot be thinkable unto himself, in that he's thought of by himself as being nothing else than what he thinks. But he is something else for us, and so he's thought of by us. If space is therefore to be thought, it should not then be thought as God but space. If God is also to be thought, he should not be conceived as space, but energy that can contain all space. Further, all that is moved not in the moved but in the stable, and that which moves another is of course stationary, for it is impossible that it should move with it. How is it then that things down here, thrice greatest one, are moved with those that are already moved? For thou hast said, the errant spheres were moved by the inerrant one. This is not, O Asclepius, a moving with, but one against. They are not moved with one another, but one against the other. It is this contrariety which turned the resistance of their motion into rest, for that resistance is the rest of motion. Hence, too, The errant spheres, being moved contrarily to the inerrant ones, are moved by one another by mutual contrariety, and also by the stable one through contrariety itself, and this can otherwise not be. The bears up there, which neither set nor rise, thinkest thou they rest or move? They move, thrice greatest one. And what their motion, my Asclepius? Motion that turns forever round the same. But revolution, motion round same, is fixed by rest. For round the same doth stop beyond same. Beyond same then being stopped, if it be steadied in round same, the contrary stands firm, being rendered ever stable by its contrariety. Of this I'll give thee here on earth an instance, which the eye can see. Regard the animals down here, and man, for instance, swimming. The water moves, yet the resistance of his hands and feet give him stability, so that he is not borne along with it nor sunk thereby. Thou hast, thrice greatest one, adduced a most clear instance. All motion, then, is caused in station and by station. The motion, therefore, of the cosmos, and of every other highly animal, will not be caused by things exterior to the cosmos, but by things interior, outward to the exterior, such things as soul or spirit, or some such thing incorporeal. 'Tis not its body that doth move the living thing in it, nay, not even the whole body of the universe, a lesser body, even though there be no life in it. What meanest thou by this, thrice greatest one? Is it not bodies, then, that move the stock and stone and all the other things inanimate? By no means, O Asclepius. The something in the body, that which moves the thing inanimate, this surely is not a body, for that it moves the two of them, both body of the lifter and the lifted, so that a thing that's lifeless will not move a lifeless thing. That which doth move another thing is inanimate, in that it is the mover. Thou seest, then, how heavy laden is the soul, for it alone doth lift two bodies. That thing, moreover, moved or moved in something, as well as moved by something, is clear. Yea, O thrice greatest one, things moved must needs be moved in something void. Thou sayest well, O my Asclepius, for naught of things that are is void. Alone the is not, void, strange to subsistence, but that which is subsistent can never change to void. Are there then, O thrice greatest one, no such things as an empty cask, for instance, and an empty jar, a cup and vat, and other things like unto them? Alack, Asclepius, for thy far wandering from the truth. Thinkest thou that things must full and must replete are void? How meanest thou, thrice greatest one? Is not air body? It is. And doth this body not pervade all things, and so pervading fill them? And body, doth body not consist from blending of the four? Full, then, of air are all thou callest void, and if of air, then of the four. Further, of this the converse follows, that all thou callest full are void of air, for that they have their space filled out with other bodies, and therefore are not able to receive the air therein. These, then, which thou doth say are void, they should be hollow named, not void, for they not only are, but they are full of air and spirit. Thy argument, Logos, thrice greatest one, is not to be gainsaid. Air is a body. Further, it is this body which doth pervade all things, and so pervading fill them. What are we, then, to call that space in which the all doth move? The bodiless, Asclepius. What then is bodiless? 'Tis mind and reason, Logos, whole out of whole, all self-embracing, free from all body, from all error free, unsensible to body and untouchable, self-stayed in self, containing all, preserving those that are, whose rays, to use a likeness, are good, truth, light beyond light, the archetype of soul. What then is God? Not any one of these is he, for he it is that causeth them to be, both all and each and everything of all that are. Nor hath he left a thing besides that is not, but they are all from things that are, and not from things that are not. For that the things that are not have naturally no power of being anything, but rather have the nature of the inability to be. And, conversely, the things that are have not the nature of some time not being. What sayest thou ever then God is? God, therefore, is not mind, but cause that the mind is. God is not spirit, but cause that spirit is. God is not light, but cause that the light is. Hence should one honour God with these two names, the Good and Father, names which pertain to him alone and no one else. For no one of the other so-called gods, no one of men or daimons, can be in any measure good, but God alone, and he is good alone and nothing else. The rest of things are separable all from the Good's nature, for all the rest are soul and body, which have no space that can contain the Good. For that as mighty is the greatness of the Good as is the being of all things that are, both bodies and things bodiless, things sensible and intelligible things. Call not thou therefore aught else good, for thou wouldst impious be, nor anything at all at any time call God but good alone, for so thou wouldst again be impious. Though then the good is spoken of by all, it is not understood by all what thing it is. Not only then is God not understood by all, but both unto the gods and some of men they out of ignorance do give the name of good, though they can never either be or become good. For they are very different from God, while good can never be distinguished from him, for that good is the same as God. The rest of the immortal ones are nathless honoured with the name of God, and spoken of as gods, but God is good not only out of courtesy but out of nature, for that God's nature and the good is one. One is the kind of both, from which all other kinds proceed. The good is he who gives all things and naught receives. God, then, doth give all things and receives naught. God, then, is good, and good is God. The other name of God is Father, again because he is the that which maketh all. The part of Father is to make. Wherefore child-making is a very great and a most pious thing in life for them who think right, and to leave life on earth without a child a very great misfortune and impiety. And he who hath no child is punished by the diamonds after death, And this is the punishment, that the man's soul who hath no child shall be condemned unto a body with neither man's nor woman's nature, a thing accursed beneath the sun. Wherefore, Asclepius, let not your sympathies be with the man who hath no child, but rather pity his mishap, knowing what punishment abides for him. Let all that has been said, then, be to thee, Asclepius, an introduction to the gnosis of the nature of all things.